Hello, everybody. I'm Rania Batrice, Interim Executive Director at March for Science. And as many of you know, here at March for Science, we talk about science being at the intersection of all social movements because it helps us both explain the challenges that we're facing as well as inform solutions and the path toward progress. We talk about things like representation, justice, equity, all as it relates to public health and beyond. And today we're addressing what is actually a public health issue. Some may not call it that, but it is gun violence. The gun violence epidemic in the United States it is a public health issue. It's a public health crisis, quite frankly. And we want to fill you in on how you can join us in supporting some common sense legislation that keeps us and our communities safe. We have a very special guest today, someone that means the world to me, and we've actually had the honor of having on our show before. I've had the honor and pleasure of working with him and his amazing wife, Patricia, on gun violence prevention. And we're so happy to have him back. Sad that it's for another absurd reason, but still nonetheless excited to have him back. Please welcome the father of Joaquin Oliver and co-founder of Change the Ref, my dear friend, Manuel Oliver.
Hello, Rania. What a great presentation. Oh my God.
Oh, well,
Wow.
you know, I mean every word. You are my family, and I hate that we have to keep having these conversations, but I know we will keep having them until we make progress, right?
Yep,
We're not quitting, we're not stopping.
Yep. That's a promise.
Yes, absolutely. And I know, obviously I know I have the pleasure of serving on the board of Change the Ref, and some of our audience got to see you last time. But for folks who might just be tuning in for the first time, can you talk a little bit about Change the Ref, the organization, what you and Patricia have been doing, and all of the things?
Absolutely. So we lost our son Joaquin Oliver during the Portland shooting. Okay, and as a result, we needed to do something. We had no idea what where destiny will bring us, and but we started just being ourselves, continuing with our skills. I'm an artist on my side, and I work as a creative person on the music industry. So we moved on, keeping those strategies that we already knew, and we decided to found Change the Ref, which refers to Joaquin and his passion for the game, basketball, and of course the looking for a fair game. Okay, ref, it's meaning referee in this case, and in order to find a fair game, we try to have the best referee possible, and that is exactly what we need to find also when it comes to our representatives. So with time, we understood that our main mission was to send the right message to the people that has only been receiving a message that has gun culture as the one and only option. Renew that message, refresh that message, and let everybody know that societies could easily live without that pressure of needing to carry a gun, and without that pushing of sales that the gun lobby has been forcing this country since decades ago. We have a new way of explaining things. We use a lot of the advertising industry for that, and a lot of art. That's basically what we do.
Yeah, and to your point, I've mentioned this before, and you and I have talked about it. Just a very one small example of how this lobby works. So y'all remember last year when $1,200 stimulus checks were sent to people all across the country? What did the NRA do? They ran ads telling people what kinds of guns they could buy for $1,200. So while people are suffering and starving and can't pay rent and can't pay bills and trying to pay, God forbid they got COVID and they can't afford their medical expenses. But what is the NRA doing? They're telling you what guns you can buy for $1,200. So let's just be really clear about who we're dealing with. And to your point, Manuel, you have sort of like tapped into something. It's almost like you're beating them at their own game. You're using advertising and creativity and art and all of these things to really meet people where they are and attack this in a way that hasn't been done before you and Patricia started Change the Ref. So I do just want to shout out, obviously I'm biased and I love you both very much and everything that you do, but I think our audience would absolutely love everything that you do as well. So I want to shout out how folks can check out Change the Ref and all the amazing work that is being done. And you just go to changetheref.org and you can check all of that out. And of course, folks know March for Science is a global organization, but we're based in Texas. And currently, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is shepherding a bill through the state legislature that would allow for people to open carry firearms without a license, without a safety course, without a background check. And we have seen over and over again, public polls have shown and law enforcement leaders have vocalized, including the Dallas police chief, they oppose this legislation. And bills like this don't only endanger the lives of Texas communities, it endangers everyone because, as we know, somebody can buy a gun in Texas and drive over the border, which happened a couple of years ago. Somebody could not buy a gun in another state, so they bought it in Texas and drove to Iowa. I mean, we see it all the time. So we're not like insulated in our little states and nothing can ever happen. And then of course there's the fact that it just encourages other states to pass equally egregious legislation. So it's a huge problem and terrible policy. And I think we can all agree that requiring a license is the bottom of the barrel of what we should be demanding here. It's just the latest atrocity to come out of the NRA and the lobby, which you've been fighting against since Joaquin was killed in his classroom. And Manuel, we need a culture shift. We need a huge culture shift. So how do we do that?
Well, let me start by my initial thought about these kind of decisions. I think that it's a strategy that brings it pretends or tries to bring us back. Not only not approving the common sense regulations that we have been proposing, but besides not approving those, it's like, let's bring them back a step or 10 steps before that. And let's go to the basic of this, that anyone will, of course, agree that in order to carry a gun, you need a license. Let's just forget about that. And now they're going to fight for that instead of fighting for the other things that we're fighting for. I have to think that's the strategy behind this. I cannot believe that someone, and no one is going to buy that idea that this bill will make people feel and actually be safer. There is no way that anyone can feel that, now it's so cool. I can go out and everybody has a gun. So that said, and knowing that the Texas governor has such a terrible background in terms of the way he's been treated by the NRA and the way he talks about the NRA, and who knows what other deal is behind that it's not a person that you can trust. It's the willing of the people, and this is when voting is so important, and it's sad that we need to talk about this when we are 2 years before having the chance to get rid of this guy and change it. We need to wait another year and something, November 2022. So these are the consequences of not voting for the right person that will stand for his word and actually fight for the people and not for the financial benefit during the aftermath of his actions.
Yeah. Oh, which, I mean, you hit the nail on the head in so many ways. And it's perfect because the name of your organization is Change the Ref. So in this situation, the ref is Greg Abbott, and he's
Correct.
not calling a fair game. And you said, vote, right? That is one of the most important things that we can do. And you've heard me say before, and the audience has heard me say before, rarely does an elected official wake up and decide they're going to do the right thing. It's public pressure, right, that makes them do what we want them to do. So I would love for you to just talk a little bit about, okay, so we know to vote, but what are some of the other ways that we can help change the ref, make sure we're getting a fair game?
Right. So this is my suggestion. Let's do things different with this guy in Texas. And there's a whole schedule for things to happen in America. And campaigns are still not there, and they will appear at some time, probably by February next year or whenever. Let's work ahead. We need to let people in Texas, or everyone in Texas, know what this guy is actually looking for. What are going to be more consequences if he is being reelected, and what is it that the values of the people mean? And regardless who is running next year, the Texas voter will already know his values and what he wants. So if we work ahead, and imagine this happening all around the nation, this is not a political campaign. This is a social campaign for the benefit of the people. By pushing things that will work in a good way in all terms, in health, safety, financially, in any decision. By the way, financially, the only one that is making money here is the gun industry. No one else. Yep. This is not helping the state in any other way than just being insecure and have crazy people that, by the way, now they can carry out liquor from restaurants. They also, so it's like an evil plan of approval of things that, you know, like the evil doctor in his lab, like mixing the worst of the worst, so then they can put it together. So we need to call that out now, starting now. So next year, you will already have a huge group of people willing to vote, but knowing what they stand for and what they really reject. And I think that this guy is a perfect example to use it as a template of the things that we don't want. So he's out. If you don't satisfy the need of the people, if you are cheating by sending false information, if you play with the emotions of the people, when you call a gun an essential during a pandemic where people are dying all around the world, and instead of asking them to wear a mask or wash their hands, your suggestion was go and buy a gun with the money from the incentive. Yeah. Dude,
something's wrong.
Who do you think we are? We're not 5 years old in here. So at the end of the day, they will need to change their attitude because I can see that happening. It's a matter of time. But, you know, time is too valuable because people die every single day.
Exactly.
So it's not like let's just wait for time to solve it. Time will solve the problem because at some point, these guys from the old school of conservative BS won't be here anymore. And the youth that has all those fresh ideas, inclusion and respect for each other, they will be in charge. We just need to press the gas pedal so we can get there before.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is a public health issue. Somebody in the chat asked, what does common sense gun reform have to do with science? It has everything to do with science when you consider the public health risk that is at play, when you consider that somewhere in the ballpark of 95 to 98% of Americans, science, math, like all that STEM, right? support universal background checks, and our Congress is doing nothing about it. It has everything to do with it when you are talking about the health and safety of our communities. And that's all of these reasons are why March for Science and Change the Ref are partnering up with an organization called Level Field to tackle the gun violence epidemic. And we're inviting activists and advocates to put pressure on Governor Abbott to stop this bill. And if it makes it to his desk, demand that he not sign it. So you can make it, basically, the bottom line is you can make a donation, a pledge to make a donation. And if Greg Abbott signs the bill and it becomes law, then we will take those donations and remind everyone what he did and how he didn't stand up for us and for the health and safety of our communities when it comes time for him to run again in 2022. If he doesn't sign the bill and it doesn't become law, then nobody gets charged a penny, and we all get to celebrate that we are just the slightest bit safer and can keep continuing to fight the fight. Izzy is going to drop the link into the chat so that folks can check out the link and pledge to make a donation, and hopefully share it with all of your friends and family and networks, so that we can really spread the word and make a big impact. So, Manuel, we're demanding common sense and responsibility from our elected officials. And as I said, this is very much a baseline, right? Like should, just like you said too, this shouldn't be so difficult.
Yeah.
But we are going to demand it, no matter how common sense it is, and we shouldn't have to do it, but we do. This is where we are. So this is what we're gonna keep pushing and fighting for. And yeah, so we're very excited about this partnership with Change the Ref.
Well, we don't have any other option right here. Like,
Yeah.
as parents, as Americans, like there's nothing that a gun supporter or NRA supporter or gun industry supporter can do to save Joaquin. Joaquin, my son, is already dead. But there are so many things that I can do to keep their kids safe that they ignore because they live in another universe where people like us are just demanding for things and not have an actual plan. Well, we do have an actual plan. And the actual plan starts by the safety of your kids. This is an inclusive thing. I don't like to see myself as someone that is just on one side of the equation. No, we have a common problem. That's exactly why it's related not only to science, to math, but to every single industry and activity and business that is today in this country.
Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for spending time with us today, but also just for everything you and Patricia are doing and have been doing to help protect, just like you said, other people's children and loved ones. And to everyone out there tuning in, please remember, we all have to be a part and play a part in this work. Please check out the link that Izzy posted below and share with your friends. If you've got a few bucks to make a pledge, please do. And again, please check out Change the Ref, changetheref.org, sign up for their email list. And just thank you. Thank you again. We hope that you'll join us in this fight for common sense gun reform. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that bills like this are dangerous to public safety and public health. And we can't sit on the sidelines. So Izzy's going to drop that link one more time. Please make a pledge, share it with everyone you know. Thank you again to Manuel and to everyone for tuning in. Until next time.
Thank you, my love.
Thank you.
Bye.